When I was younger, I was a scout, and it really challenged my leadership. And so I want to talk to you today about how being a scout challenged my leadership. So I said I was scout, sort of. So I was scout-like. So I was a part of a group called the Pathfinders, which is just a Seventh-day Adventist version of Scouts. Now, I know what you're saying, Scouts, it's so old school, it's so nerdy. Only nerds do things like Scouts. Am I a nerd? Well, maybe. Don't answer that. Yeah, maybe. But let me guarantee you that Scouts prepared me for leadership. It may be old school, it may be nerdy, but what would you prefer? To be cool or be a great leader? We used to go out and do camping and get all the merit badges and learn how to start fires and tie ropes and learn seeing enemies and all those sorts of things and just learn a whole bunch of different things, do a lot of activities, go skiing, go rock climbing, like lots and lots of different challenges and things. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed that time. But I really believe that doing Scouts prepared me for leadership. And there's three main ways in which I believe they've done that. The first way of how being a scout challenged my leadership was that it forced me to be a leader. That's right. When you're a part of some sort of an organized group like that, there are always opportunities for leadership, and actually always forced leadership. It really forces you to step up and become a leader. Whether it be within the group, you become a team leader, or you start leading the level below you and you start mentoring and helping the people below you, or it's just being a general leader in the community, or whether it was part of the activities. We used to go away a lot and do all these commando style activities or group, team challenges and stuff. And it just forces you to rise up and mold your leadership. And so I know, looking back now, that because I was forced to be a leader, it enabled me to develop my leadership skills. Although looking back, maybe I wasn't developing the best, but I know it was laying some good foundations and experiences for me. So the first way of how being a scout challenged my leadership is it forced me to be a leader. So let me encourage you, find groups, find organizations that you can be a part of that will actually force you into leadership roles, that will force you into stepping up as a leader, because it will help you develop your leadership. Second way of how being a scout challenged my leadership is it forced me to learn. Yes, the great thing about Scouts is the fact that you're constantly learning. Well, there's a structured system and you're constantly growing through groups. With ours in Pathfinders, Scouts, we work through each level and every age group. Every year you went through a particular curriculum and you were constantly growing, just like school, but in life skills. But also you were learning all these other little things. You put on your badges, and yes, I had a sash that was full of all different badges where you learn how to start a fire without matches. You learn how to put up a tent. You learn how to identify dangerous things in the wild. You learn different animals. You learn things in the ocean. You learn how to tie knots. You learn how to build things. We would make things out of timber all the time, and whatever we could find in the bush, and we'd learn bush survival and all those like we learned so much good skills. We learned so many good skills that have actually served me in my life today, that you never know, that whenever I'm around people a lot, they're amazed at the random things that I can do. And a lot of them I could point back to Scouts, because I constantly learned new skills. Now, as a leader, I'm always challenged to learn new skills. I can't just sit and be the same. I have to continually learn. And that's how Scouts challenge my leadership, is because they constantly force you to learn new skills, new techniques, new knowledge. And that made me become a better leader, because I was learning new skills. So let me encourage you, as a leader, you must learn new skills, constantly be upgrading yourself, learn to be a better leader, learn the skills of your trade, learn new trends in the marketplace, learn new things that are happening in your industry. start to expand your thoughts into other industries because there's a lot of crossovers. But let me encourage you, to be a good leader, you have to learn new skills. And so how Scouts challenged my leadership is it forced me to learn. The third way of how being a Scout challenged my leadership was distractions. Now, this actually has nothing to do with being a Scout, but looking back on my time, I know that this was my one weakness, and I've got lots of weaknesses, don't get me wrong, but this was my one big weakness when I was a Scout. I was team leader, I was earning all the badges, I'd win all the competitions, I was always at the top, except for this one thing. I'd say in it I was the best, but then it actually distracted me from the rest, because I'm going to be a little bit vulnerable and share some real personal, let's say, weaknesses that I have. When I was doing Scouts, we used to go away, or Pathfinders, we used to go away on camps, right? Pathfinder camps and stuff, where we'd go out into the wilderness somewhere, set up camp, and there'd be a big group of us. And I was a young teenager, and young teenagers are adventurous. And I was adventurous with girls. Yes, I would always find myself in the girls' tents. I grew my hair long so the girls would plait my hair. So I'd find an excuse to go into the girls' tents and plait my hair. Yes, it was that bad. And so look, nothing went on or anything like that. I was a good boy. But rather than being a part of a lot of the activities, I would spend most of the camps trying to search out girls, chase the girls, and try to flirt with the girls, and try to find excuses to go back to girls' tents and things like that. I know it's terrible, it's naughty, right? And what was even best is when we used to do joint, and we used to call them jamborees, right? Where all of the groups from around the state, around the nation would all come together, and we'd have one. And that was good because there was new girls and new challenges for us to chase. And so while there's all these other things, while I could have been learning more, I was distracted by girls. And that is probably my biggest challenge with leadership, is distractions. We always get distracted by what's on our phone, maybe distracted by watching something on YouTube, which is a weakness of mine as well. And I found that my leadership was challenged, that I missed opportunities because I was always distracted by girls. But I know that you, in your leadership, when you get distracted, you're missing opportunities as well. Now, you may not be distracted by girls, but you're distracted by a lot of things. And unfortunately, as leaders, there's a lot of things to be distracted by. There's a lot of good things that are to be distracted by. You know, like, girls aren't a bad thing, right? Like, I wasn't doing anything bad. I was just chasing girls, and it was very innocent, but nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with building relationships with people and discovering new people and getting to know people. And maybe that helped me with my networking or whatever. But what actually changed is it distracted me from my main goal. And we can get so caught up in being distracted by spending extra time building a website that we should get someone else to do, or get distracted by working on a side project that we think is going to be the next thing that's going to change our business, or get distracted by social media, or get distracted by whatever it is that we're distracted by. Scrolling through emails, right? You don't need to empty your inbox. You just need to get work done, right? And so sometimes we as leaders can get distracted by things, and it pulls us away from our ultimate purpose. So the third way of how being a Scout challenged my leadership was I had distractions, girls. So as a leader, make sure you're constantly putting yourself in situations that are forcing you to become a leader. Make sure you're always being forced to learn and acquire new skills. And make sure that you are avoiding distractions that are pulling you away from your purpose. Now, as a side note, bit of advice. If you have kids and you want them to grow up to be great leaders, my encouragement is find a local Scouts group or Girls Guides or Boys Brigade or whatever they're called in your area. For me, it was Pathfinders, and it is an incredible foundation. I know it's a little old school, I know it's a little nerdy, but seriously, maybe you could help mold your children's life to become better leaders because of the skills they learn because they were a part of a Scouts group. It encouraged you. It was one of the best learning experiences of my life. So I hope that you've learned from some of my challenges and you are now learning to become a better leader. If you've liked this, give it a thumbs up. Put a comment below to share your stories if you were a part of Scouts. And hey, it'd be a real honor for me if you would consider subscribing to the channel.